Hey everybody, today I'm just doing a little bit of a table update, just sort of a general update as well. I appreciate everybody's comments from my last video when I was away. I know I didn't really have to make that video. I think I've probably been gone, if you don't include that video, for about 3 weeks from the channel, which in many cases is what people do at times. But for whatever reason, between the Musty Wargaming show where we have a schedule and the regular updates that I like to do, I like to have a regular presence on my YouTube channel, and I felt compelled during all of that to sort of give an update as to why I was away. Looking back at it, I think I was actually a little, without even realizing it, I think I was a little out of sorts, and I'm going to actually take that video down. So that will be coming down shortly, but I appreciate everybody that had some kind words to say, and yeah, so thanks very much. I do appreciate that. Now, I wanted to let you know, since being back and having been, I'm actually been really busy in my personal life lately and getting back to work and things, and so I haven't been painting as much, although I have a little bit of a painting update today. But what I have done, because I can sort of run my machine, and I apologize, I am running my machine for my 3D printer in my hobby room as we speak. I'll show you a little clip of it going. I'll show you as it's going live in a moment, before the clip's off. But I wanted to just kind of show what I've been doing since I've been back. Like, I've been really focused on the 3D printing, more so than painting since back, mainly to just, it takes time, a lot of time to 3D print things. Like, you're essentially always running it if you're wanting to do stuff, and of a decent quality. And so I've been trying to utilize that time when I can, and that means even if I'm not hobbying so much, I've been running my 3D printer because it doesn't really require a lot of hobby time to just run it. And so what I have here is I really wanted to hit my Epic Terrain hard when I bought this 3D printer, because I'm going to do a video, like I said, on my reasons for doing a 3D printer. Today is just to show what I've done so far, but I'll just say that I was planning on buying Terrain for Epic, the game, and for buildings and things like that. And when getting the 3D printer and justifying expense, one of the things I told myself is I wasn't going to spend too much time printing cool little things that are just fun to print because I have it. I wanted to really spend more time on things that I would have actually probably purchased to kind of justify the expense, and it makes sense because things that I'm purchasing I'm probably really wanting anyway. I mean, like, they're not things that I don't want. I do want them because I'm looking to buy them. But it just sort of keeps me focused on at least getting some of my investment back and some I guess, benefit into buying this thing. And so all of the white stuff here is actually sample filament that came with the 3D printer. I still haven't used that roll. I will say that using a 3D printer for Epic really kind of goes a long way. Like, you can get a lot out of the material and the plastic because everything's really small. Once I start printing bigger stuff for 28mm, I'm going to see that I'm going to use more filament for sure. But I've had mostly really good success with just the exception of really one or two prints, I'll say. For different reasons I've had some challenges. There are hiccups with this, and I'll talk about that, but I'm a little amazed as to how well some of the stuff did come out just right out of the box. Really kind of impressed with it. I've showed on the Musty Wargaming show this particular print. I really love the detail of this design for Epic. It's hard to see the white filament compared to the orange. These are two different brands of filament. This is, like I said, the sample, and the other one is called, it is called Hatchbox, PLA. PLA, for those of you interested, is polylactic acid, and it's a very common filament to use within 3D printing for our hobby in particular. There are other people that use ABS as well as other things. But what I've mainly focused on is the buildings. Now, this sort of design translated to another print file that's the same design but actually has two of them together, so it's like just a larger building. And I really like the way the detail shows up in the orange PLA by Hatchbox. This is, as I said, one of the more popular proprietary filaments, and I've switched to using this now, even though I still have some of the white left. Um, I have a couple of different designers that are free on Thingiverse that I've used for these buildings. This is one designer, I should say. This one here, this is the same one where I had a problem. I'll talk about that in a moment. And then this one, which came out really good, is the same designer. I've not glued this down, but this is a hollow building where the other ones are solid pieces. And this one came out perfect. As I was figuring out my bed leveling, for whatever reason, I had a challenge with this narrow hollow building with it lining up correctly at a certain point. Even on this one, which came out fairly well, I'm kind of treating it as something that's damaged because some of the pieces here broke or were deformed, and I had to snap them and use them as ruin. I will probably try this print, this narrow hollow building again later, but I just, this side came out perfect the way it's supposed to, but this side I had trouble. And that was my second attempt, which was better, but my first attempt came out really bad. It just, at this point, just had lots of problems. So I'm just going to use it as a ruin, you know, like one of my friends was like, that's perfect ruin. It's not what I intended, but works out good. Little miniature of a statue. Hard to see the detail, but this one, there isn't a ton of detail. It's sort of like a statue of a space marine that will be in like the courtyard, which is kind of neat. But I started to print some miniatures that aren't buildings. Like, I love the way these came out, like most of them actually, for buildings. And I have some other stuff here I'm going to show you in the back here that's by that Warhound. But this is a little objective piece that I can use, or even just as terrain. Like, it's basically like a vat of some sort. It's more industrial. And the white PLA, as I said before priming, it doesn't show a tremendous amount of detail. But if I look if you look close here, the detail is actually quite good. I really was impressed with this. For those of you that are familiar with 3D printing, you'll know that in certain situations you want to print supports. Supports kind of end up like flashing in the end, but they basically allow you to print where you have nothing below it, but it doesn't print something substantial. It's something that can break away. It just provides support, enough support to print, but not enough that it's going to alter your design. This prints without support and prints detail really nice on this design, and I really enjoyed that. I'm going to print another one or two of these to either use as objectives or terrain. One of the things that I've really enjoyed recently is for 40K, there are some that emulate some of the terrain that kits we buy, like the Administratum and the Manufactorium and things like that. And if you look, the detail for 6mm here is really quite exceptional, what you can achieve. And I did try to print this just to generate high quality, to be able to capture this design, or these designs. And it's not that you can't necessarily get better quality, but really, I was quite amazed at 6mm, like what I could achieve in that. And these two were intended for Epic, these two here. And I just love that. I just think it's beautiful at this sort of level. Now, I did do lots of support inside here, so this all had plastic in here that I had to cut out to be able to get these levels here, and it was a bit piddly to do that, but really not too bad. Definitely worthwhile to be able to have it come out well. This one here didn't come out that great, but I'm still going to keep it because it's like a ruin. But it came out fine on the printer, but the problem is this was made for 28mm, and it's been actually scaled down. Like, they recommended scale it down for Epic to 20% of what it is. And the way I did this to actually capture this sort of shelving in here is this entire center here was filled with support pieces that I had to cut out. And in doing that and trying to do that, I've damaged some of the ruined design. So like, this has pieces that were on this that I've broken in order to be able to get this out, because it is fairly fragile at this size and by the nature of this design. But having said that, it's still quite nice as a filler piece to have in your game, you know, just as ruin, to just block line of fire, and just things like that. I'm kind of getting towards the end. I have some regular epic ruins that were from the original release that I can build some ruin terrain. There's lots of ruins, literally, that I can print, like trays, like literally bases that have ruins on them that I can use in the game, and I will probably try one. But I've been hitting the epic hard, and I think I'm kind of getting to a close of how much time. I'm printing a really nice big building right now that I'm going to pan and show you guys in a moment. But I think I'm kind of going to start moving towards something else from epic. Like, I can always print some more, but I think I've printed up a little bank of terrain here that I can use to simulate some built-up Gothic areas, like on a board. Even if I'm playing on like a 6x4, I know this won't cover it, and these are a lot closer than I would have them in the game. But having said that, once I finish my ruins, and even if I'm playing on a board that's not just all city fight, but it's just has some built-up areas and some forests and some other things, I think this will be good just to kind of get some stuff down. And it was great to print and try to capture some detail at 6mm. I would have thought that it would have been harder to work at that level, at that smaller level, to capture detail. But my thought is if I can achieve this at this level, then what can I achieve at 28mm? I'm kind of interested. I'm thinking it'll be great. Before I show the 3D printer, I'm going to keep this a little short today, but before I show the 3D printer, I will show, oops, sorry about that. My hobby room is even worse than usual right now. We've had some work in our basement where we had to completely demolish some of our basement outside of my hobby room, and all of my stuff is from the rest of the basement is in my hobby room, so I can barely walk. I have painted some purple stripes in the base on these, the Must Do Wargaming Challenge. I am attempting to finish this. It's really unfortunate, but given what happened, I really lost a lot of steam for this project because I had to stop in the middle of a lot of things and then come back to it. I'm trying to kind of psych myself into finishing this off before I start my next project, which will be a historical project, the Scots for Saga. But I have to clean up these flags, but these are the Crimson Command, or yeah, Crimson Command, I believe. I always get Scarlet Command and Crimson Command mixed up, but I think it's Crimson Command flags that I've printed just off of the net, and it's just paper, and I have to put some glue on them and cut them a bit more and trim them a bit more, but that's the symbol for them. I'm not totally happy with where the highlighting is at on the blue. I'm happy with the purple stripes and how they're looking on it, but I wanted to, as you guys know, I really like this model, and I am wanting to highlight them a little bit more. Now that I've got the purple on there, I got to be careful. I think I'm just going to use some thin down lighter blue and just start working up and glazing some highlight to just make them a bit better. I was almost tempted to just stop here, just put some black on here, fix up the flags and varnish them and just call it a day, just given what's been going on in life lately. But I think I'm going to resist that temptation, and I'm going to try, because I think I'll regret it later, and I'm going to try to really make these guys pop a little bit more. I think I'll be happier in the long run, and because sometimes I can get that sort of urge to just finish a project and not do my best to move on for whatever reason. In this case, because I've had interruptions in between that sort of stole my zest for it. But I think I'm going to try to spend a little more time on these and then move on to some Saga. So, lastly, I am going to just pan here and show you guys what's printing right now. So right now I have a nice epic building, probably the last one I do for a little bit, printing off, and yeah, it makes a bit of noise. Given the dishevelment of the basement that's happening right now, my wife suggested that we change my hobby room to a bigger room that's in the basement. I have another hobby that is saltwater aquariums, and I had a bit of an operation going on in one of the rooms that's been going on for years, and I've kind of tore it down and consolidated that to one tank in my living room. that hobby, and now that that room and some of the storage space that was in there has been destroyed because of fixing issues with the foundation in there, we're at a clean slate a little bit in the basement, except for the room I'm in now. And the thought is redesigning a bigger room for my gaming, fabrication, painting, pretty much everything miniature wargaming hobby, since it's sort of like my primary hobby. And that will allow me to have a dedicated table just for the 3D printer, to have a painting station, some storage area, perhaps a nice open area where I can put up some 4x4, two 4x4, 1x4 table to be able to do some gaming as well in it. And so we'll see what happens there. But as you can see, this 3D printer is trudging along and building this epic building, slowly but surely. I do have it printing somewhat slow, like it could go slower, but it's not going as fast as you could do it, just because sometimes there is a thought that by slowing it down you can improve quality. And there is no infill on this, like because the walls are thin, it's printing completely solid, and that also could potentially give it some structural integrity and some quality benefits as well, but increases the print time. This print time will be about 7.5 to 8 hours for this building, and it will be guessing it's going to be probably about 3 times the size, height that it is right there. That's what I'm guessing. And then I still have to print a separate roof, which won't take long. But yeah, for you guys that are interested in the 3D printing, it is going to be somewhat of a focus on the channel. It's not going to be my primary focus, but it will be included as I sort of traverse the world of 3D printing. I've already had many friends that have expressed an interest after seeing some of the capabilities, and I'll go over that in another video and talk about sort of my decision making and why I decided to take the plunge, given that I'm such a huge fan of metal miniatures and that hasn't changed. Okay, everybody, I hope everything is well with you guys, and talk to you later.